my mama running up and down Wayne Memorial Drive. That would be me if I didn't just learn how. I learned how to do that. Y'all taught me how to do that when I was raising y'all, honey.
Conversations with Mom.
Yeah.
Y'all have asked that Mom do a video on raising teenagers. I guess she'll give her a aspect of it.
Or just specifically teenagers?
Just,
raising teenagers is just like raising any other age of child, except you just have to know when to make the shift. I mean, you have to, you have to have all the elements of raising a child. You have to have the discipline, respect, tolerance, and in front of that, you have to have trust in the Lord and prayer. You got to have all that. So you got to have all those 5 elements whenever you're raising children, no matter how you raise them. You have to know when to turn that tuna down, midways, or off.
DJ.
You see, like right now.
DJ.
Yes.
Can you watch the news?
Can I watch the news?
Yeah.
You want me to watch? See, like now, that's no read. He's been here with me for the last 2 or 3 days, and he likes, well, he wants me in the room with him while he's watching TV. So that means I'll allow him to watch what he wants to watch on the TV. And he has his little game going. Well, that's the little thing he's got in his little mind. He set up. Every once in a while, I'll break him and let him know. And when I do that, it's times when I can go on and do some other stuff. So that's what I mean by raising a child. You have to have all those elements in place and know when to apply the elements. And I'm not saying it works and raises the perfect child every time, but it works where it works. It works for me. And that's what you have to do. You have to figure out what works for you. But most of all, raising children at any level, you got to have enough patience and tolerance. And when you're patient, you have the love is automatically there. So, love is patient, it's tolerant, it's not abusive. So you have to remember that sometimes you lose it and say a couple things, but then you got to be able to go back and unsay. And people say you can't unsay. Well, you can't unsay it per se, but you can go back and apologize for saying it. And don't ever, and my thing was I always respected anybody's opinion about anything as long as it was done with respect. And when you step out of line now, I got ways to zap you back in without going to jail, so to speak. So, for me, raising my teenage children, it was a challenge. And one of the things that helped to raise them was to have something for them to do that they like to do. Because, as parents, we have all this stuff in a child's life that we want to see them do and how we want them to go. If they like sports, you got to be willing to haul them back and forth to practice, and their friends as well. If they like going to the movie, you got to be willing to take them back and forth to the movie up until an age where they can take themselves or somebody else does it. But to me, it was, in the heat of doing most things that are challenged, it always is different when you get past it. You can look back and you can see things that, ooh, I did pretty good on that, or ooh, I made a mess of that. If I had the opportunity, I'd do it back over and do this differently. So I don't go there because I know if I had the opportunity to go back and re-raise my children, that wouldn't be the only thing that I would have to deal with during that time frame. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff I don't want to have to go back through. So I accept how I raised my children. Did I do some things wrong? Of course I did, because I'm a human being, because I didn't have all the answers all the time, nor did my husband. We did some things that they probably detested us about. But, big deal. So what, we all lived through it. And I think in the long run, or just like anything else with me personally, I feel as long as I'm doing my very best, no matter how a situation turns out, I feel okay about it. Again, are there some things that you think, oh, I should have done? But that's hindsight, and there's nothing, like they say, hindsight is 50-50 or 20-20 or 30-30, whatever. So,
what advice do you give? What, based on what you have learned, experienced with us, and continue on with us and others, but specifically, what advice could you lend or give to parents in the thick of now raising teenagers in the climate, or just in general, because nothing is new under the sun as far
Absolutely not. And it's just like I said, for me personally, and some people might say, "Oh, please," yeah, I'm talking about for me,
as.
and I realize everybody is different. In terms of advice, my advice is always going to be: you got to respect and love a person before you can do anything good for them. If you don't love your children, your significant other, whomever, or friends or whatever, if you don't have a certain amount of love for them and respect, it's not going to go well at all. So my thing would be, because I notice a lot of people, uh, they may love their children,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have any respect. If you don't respect her, they say, well, if you don't love them, you don't respect. No, you can love a person and not, because sometimes, I'll give you a prime example. Last night, in the middle of the night, because I'm always up, and I'll pop my Facebook page on, because it's right by my bedside, so I always pop it on, and I'll go answer some questions or whatever on my YouTube. But last night, I flipped on Facebook, and there happened to be this little scenario where a mother went to school to discipline her. I think this child was 6 or 7, little fella, not that big. He had cut up. Excuse me, y'all. Yes, sir.
What time is it?
It's about 8 o'clock. What you got to do?
What job? You got a job to go to?
Huh?
You got to go to work.
No job.
Oh, okay. See, like that, it was no need you trying to say, well, come on, I'm talking to. Answer the question and keep it moving. But anyway, this lady went to school to discipline her child at school. He was cutting up, so I'm sure he probably had done some stuff before. Now you think about, he was between 6 or 7 or 5 or 6 or something like that, and the teacher came up and was telling her, well, he whatever he did, talked out of turn, whatever he did, and you could tell she was very upset to begin with. So apparently she had talked to the child about it before, and if she talked to him about it before, like she started talking to him when he came out, and the way she talked to the teacher, I understand why the child was in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because, honey, whenever that baby boy came out that door, she lit into him. She cussed that baby child. Here it is in the middle of the night, and I'm thinking, Lord, help me turn this off and get back in the bed, please. She cussed that baby out so bad, snatched on his arm several times, called him little MFs, little B's. I beat that. I mean, she just every expletive that she could come. She was so angry, and all that. There's no way I believe that all that anger was at that child. There was something else going on with her, and she took it out on that baby. And the teacher was standing there frozen, and she was like in a little breezeway. And she told her, I should have took you in the classroom. And when she got through cussing and fussing, she took him like on the side of a little breezeway and took a belt out and just beat him with that belt across the face and every kind of way. And the teacher, again, the teacher was frozen. That teacher was standing there, and she...
And they put it on Facebook?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you the end of the story.
Okay.
And I don't know who recorded it, but whoever recorded it also did what I would have done, reported it. They reported it, and DHS went and got a hold of that mother. She had a couple other children. They pulled the child out, and the other children too, pulled them out of the home. And you know how Facebook articles, they'll have people weighing in.
Right.
And the question on there was, did she go overboard? Was it too much? So the majority of people said, that she went overboard. She did too much. But a couple of people that weighed in, and everybody have their opinion. A couple of people weighed in and said, well, steroids spoiled the child. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But when you become abusive, again, there was more going on with that parent, and I felt so bad for her because now she got to deal with the court system about all of her children, about how she was treating them and how she abused them and all that kind of stuff. So the other thing I would say when you're dealing with your children, don't you know, and sometimes it happens, honey, when you heated or when you mad at your husband or your boyfriend or the neighbors, leave the children alone till you get yourself settled down.
Yeah, that's good advice.
The way she took honey, it was more to it than what was being said, but she paid the price for that because they handled her. And I don't know what, you know, I don't know how it turned out, if she ever got the kids back or anything like that. But evidently somebody, you know, it was a kind of an old, I think it happened last year, and somebody weighed in and told that they handled her through the court system, which was good in the sense that it pulled those children out of harm's way. Hopefully it pulled her to a place where she could get herself together and know that that's not the way you do your children. And you know, look, you figure a 5 or 6 year old child, how many times are you in a day that you have to tell them stop, no, don't do it, whatever. And I've lost it with my kids, you know, spank them, and I'll spank a tail now, I'll do that, but I try not to do it. And a few times, I mean, I think I spanked Tonya that I can remember, maybe I switched her leg, and the worst time was she didn't come home from school, and I was nervous and upset and scared, and when she did come, and I asked her where she had been, and she said, because she was always grinning and smiling, she had gone to the store. And Tony said he didn't know where she was. I didn't know where she was, and it scared me. So I was going to switch her, and when I got ready to switch her, she slid down on the floor and went under the bed. Just crawled up. Tony said I threw her under the bed. But, you know, and that's another thing. Don't do those kind of things. Don't discipline your other children in front of your other children. Some people say, well, unless you know how to do it in a way that doesn't come out abusive. Well, you know, some people say, well, they do it to teach the other kids that, you know, don't do it. But however, I mean, you choose that, but try to do anything that you do to your children as much as you can with level head. It's there in the laundry room. In the laundry room, yeah. So, you know, but all in all, my thing is you have to have a lot of love and patience with children, because I think, well, you know, my kids did some things that, you know, other parents would have done a whole lot different than me. And I think if I had not been a patient person, I would have done things in a lot more negative way. I was more, and my husband was a more disciplinarian, and he had them tails up. But he was more of a disciplinary. He put them on, honey, Jesus knows. He
punishment. Remember, he put me on punishment. I couldn't chew gum for a whole year.
Oh, yeah, because she had gotten in trouble so many. This is Tonya.
Chewing gum.
Chewing gum in school and then running that
in
mouth.
class.
She was always talking.
Motor mouth.
And she kept right on. The teacher would call every time. And so that last time that teacher called, what were you, about third grade?
What grade was I in? Third, fourth, somewhere
along there. One of them
Tony, what grade was I in when I had the bubble gum? I couldn't chew bubble gum for a year.
She got that year sentence. That was third, fourth. Y'all were young.
Tony rubbed it in, of course.
I felt so bad for her, but I thought, now, how many times have you been told about the gum thing? So, you know,
well, at least now I run my mouth for the good.
Yeah.
And it helps people, I hope.
She don't chew bubble gum anymore either.
I very rarely chew gum. Very rarely.
But seriously, though, you have to, like I said, when you discipline children, I think you need to discipline them when you can. I think my kids probably would rather for me to go and pull out the belt than listen to me, because I could talk for 4 hours. I would rather, you know, do it when I can talk civilly. And I'm not saying I've never hollered at a child or, you know, got loud with a child, but that was just not my way routinely. You know, we're human, and sometimes we step out of pocket, but that should not be the rule of thumb. That, to me, that should not be the way that you discipline your children all the time with all that screaming and hollering. Because if I have to scream and holler at some point, it's gonna go to another level. So um, I try to always not, to scream and holler and as I recall, my husband was a hunter. He whooped your tail, man. He whooped them tail. He wasn't a screamer or holler. He was a tail whooper.
He whoop you.
And he in lieu of that, the punch. Oh Jesus, I think probably the kids probably would rather have gotten a whipping than them long sentences on those punishments. Because honey, he could come up with some. Can't ride your bicycle. Can't do this. Can't do that. For it wouldn't be like a day or week, honey. It'd be months. And he said, well, I think he let you off before a year, didn't he? Or was it the whole year?
Yeah, I think he may have let me out before a year. Because
out.
what started to happen, he would buy, because he would always buy us treats and candies and stuff, and he would come home and he would pass out the gum between me and Tony, and he would forget that I was on punishment. And Tony would say, she on punishment, she can't have gum. And he said, oh yeah, that's right. And he'd give it to Tony. He would give my ration to Tony.
Kids are son. Kids
but so I really did used to talk. I mean, I guess your parents remember everything, and as you grow up, you remember things. I guess you sort of put away some of the bad stuff that you did. Mm-hmm. But I just really don't believe I talk that much.
You don't believe you talk that much now. ... Let's see. ... Yeah, 3 dots. Do we need to
I
vote?
think I know I talk a lot. I do. I know I talk a lot.
Tansy, we need your vote. Does Tonya talk a lot?
Help, yeah. Help, yes.
Y'all hear Tansy? She said, help, yes. Tonya, does Tonya
I
talk a lot?
I know I talk a lot. I do, but
Tonya
I mean,
said, yes. Tansy talking about help, yes.
But the talk a lot that I do is I don't get myself in trouble anymore.
Well, that wasn't not necessarily the point. Talking a lot doesn't always mean trouble. Talking a lot sometimes means we don't want to hear it. No.
Ooh.
you know we weren't passing that one up. But now, one thing I can say about raising kids, they've all in their own ways driven me to the brink. But praise be to God, I didn't jump off the ledge. And I think though seriously, when you raise your kids, I'm telling you,
love and respect.
Love. All I can say is love is what, in any situation when you continue to do something over and over and over again, when people say you keep doing the same thing expecting a different result, well, I think when you're dealing with children and relationships on certain levels and about certain stuff, you can't keep doing the same. I kept praying for my children, kept loving them, and I did begin at different levels in their life. I began to get different results in terms of how they acted, how they respond, how they stop doing certain things and start doing other things. Not getting into little foolishness versus big foolishness. And all this kind of stuff. So to me, raising children is something that and I can a lot of people say, oh yeah, I would do it over, I wouldn't do it over. What I would do differently, I can't even sit here and say, because my thing is what I did it in the circumstance, because then you have to go back and pick or loose everything that was going on at the time, and I'm just not going to sit here and try to lie and say all this, that, and the third. No, if I had to do all over again, I feel like I would, but I still can't tell you. And I know there would be some things I'd have to sit down and think about, and rethink and redo on my part and on their part. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you what it is that I would do differently. I mean, that's for my whole life. There's plenty of things that I would do differently. Would I like to live my life over again? No, because of the things that I have enjoyed most of my life. I loved them. I don't need to go back and reinvent the wheel. I don't need to go and redo stuff. But is there things that I would redo? Of course there is. But I'd have to give it some more thought than to sit here and just come off the top of my head and say, well, I would do this. we can say, I would save more money. Yeah, but then you got to have a plan as to how would you save more money. Then you got to pick or loose all that foolishness you did to waste money. So, nah, we ain't going to do that one.
Mm-hmm.
Not tonight.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's I think that's good. Love and
Yeah.
respect. Yeah,
Love and
that's
respect
really
for
truly.
me. And
Yeah.
lots of, prayer comes before everything.
Oh,
me
yeah.
Anyway. But love and respect. If you have enough love and enough respect for anybody, anything, about anything, you can endure and you can go through a little bit more than if you don't, because if you don't respect a person, especially if you don't love them, you ain't doing too much for them anyway.
Mm.
So that's, and for me, I'm not, when I just sit around and just think, I've not had a whole lot of reasons not to love or respect most people that I deal with. I'm just being honest. Are there some? Oh yeah, please. I'm just saying, like some people just like every other person they dealt with, they can't stand them. They don't want to be. I've never been that type of person because me, honey, anything that I didn't want to be around or didn't like, I figured out a way to either get completely away from it, be able to tune it out, or just say, look, let's talk about it, let's work this out, or else I'm just gonna ignore, whatever. I'm serious.
Well, I think that's true because
Yeah,
I think about we didn't really want for anything growing up, but one thing about you hear people that say they grew up extremely poor, impoverished, and stuff like that. Maybe didn't have you won't sitting around with a big fat belly after you ate. But one thing I have learned just talking to people, friends, coworkers, whatever, people like you were saying, you can be poor and impoverished and do all that, but when you don't love your children, when you don't show your children love, so what that you may have gave them the world, but if you didn't love them, that's a big thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can be poor,
Yeah.
but you can say, you know what, we were poor, but my mama loved me.
Mm-hmm.
My mama, that she did the best she could to take care of me. But then you have people that their parents provided, sent them off to this school, that school, wherever they were on the spectrum financially. But you hear a lot of them say, yeah, oh yeah, they sent me off to this academy, but my mama didn't love me. She didn't have time for me. She was too busy doing her whatever, her society stuff, her community stuff. And she may have thought she loved me because she was able to buy this name brand, that, but if you haven't shown your children love,
money can't buy you love.
I knew she wanted.
To. I should have taken another sip of tea before I sung that note. I'm sorry, y'all.
Ma, I know you love it, but if you truly love it, you don't sing. No, I'm just kidding.
I walked right into that one.
Yeah, but anyway, all right. You heard it from Mom.
Yeah.
We'll do some more little sit-downs like this.
All three of my children, half of one missing, Big John. I just talked to him the other day. He still loves me too, so what can I say?
Yeah, we love Mama.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, when children, friends, anybody, when you don't show that love to them, they don't want to be around you.
Mm-mm.
They don't want to be around you. Because, I mean, who wants to receive the wrath every time they're around somebody?
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh. It's like, who's going to take me away? Same way, and you know who tells it the best is little bitty kids. You know, those little children. And when you try to take them somewhere and they start screaming and hollering and running, watch it. I'm telling you, honey. Yes, indeed.
All right, y'all. We're going to end it. Love you. God bless. And may the peace of the Lord be with you. And know that from this video, love and respect. That's it.
That's where love, respect, and pray without ceasing, y'all. And then all that stuff will straighten out. All that mess will straighten out. Something's biting.
All right. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye. Peace.